Hey everybody, this is drummer Fred Eltringham, and you're listening to Jim on Bass.
Welcome back to another episode of the Jim on Bass Show. For today's very special guest, I have someone who's played drums with some of music's biggest stars, like Sheryl Crow, the Chicks, the Wallflowers, Robert Plant, Willie Nelson, and was recently playing drums at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Honor Show. Please welcome the great Fred Eltringham. Fred, thanks for coming on. The crowd goes wild.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. Oh, what an intro. I forget what I've done, so
well, you are fresh off the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame show, so that must be kind of like rock and roll heaven, right? Like in the backstage area?
Kind of. It was in an arena in New York at the Barclays Center where the Nets play in Brooklyn. And it was a huge TV production, so there wasn't like a ton of room to like hang and like kind of watch from the side or anything, and you couldn't go out front either, so we sort of ended up just watching the whole show from our dressing room on TV, just like everybody else who was watching at home. So it was a little less like, as fun as you would think, but it was still kind of cool to, it was cool to be in the building and know that that was all happening around there.
Yeah.
I saw more people at like catering than I did on stage or anything. So yeah, it was, I mean, it was, it's super cool to be there. And we were the first thing on. So it was a little nerve wracking. There was lots of rehearsal we were there for a couple days. We had Stevie Nicks and Peter Frampton and Olivia Rodrigo all performed with us, which is super cool. And it was live. They were streaming the whole thing live on Disney Plus when it happened. And we were the very first thing on, so it was like, go, and you're just on. And so yeah, it was, that's always a big adrenaline rush to do any kind of crazy TV thing like that. But it was certainly an honor and really fun. I'm so happy for Sheryl and proud of her, and she's awesome, and she's totally deserved it. And so yeah, it's really fun, really fun. My favorite thing was the Jimmy Page did his tribute to Link Ray. I thought that was the coolest thing. Anton Fig was playing drums with him.
And you're kind of living a rock and roll dream then.
Kind of, yes. I gotta say, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Did you have any Flavor Flav run-ins? I saw he was kind of backstage making the rounds. He's a friend of the show.
I didn't see him there. Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he ran to Sheryl Crow and they made a little video, and I think he ran to Dave Matthews maybe, and seemed like he was kind of bumping into people.
I didn't see him there. We ran into LL Cool J in the hallway. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And he is a huge dude, man. He is like a big guy. Sort of intimidating, but I love his music. But we ran into Flava Flav also. We did an iHeartRadio show
in Vegas, right?
In Vegas, yeah. And he was there as well, and just kind of hanging out and saying hello to everybody. And yeah, that's where I ran into him there, but not at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And it must be good to run into Willie Nelson again, right? I know he was there and had an honor.
Willie was there. I didn't see him. I saw his kids and all the band guys who were all buddies of mine. But Willie, I did not see Willie. Sheryl did. Sheryl sang with him, and our guitar player Audley Freed, he played that set with those guys too. Don is the band leader for a lot of these sort of big tribute shows and things that happen with this company called Blackbird Entertainment, and they put on these big shows. They did the 90th birthday celebration.
Oh, okay.
And so Don was the band leader, and he hires like these all-star bands. And my good friend Audley Freed, he's in Sheryl's band, and we toured together with the Dixie Chicks and with, what else did we do? Jacob Dylan solo thing and a bunch of different stuff. But he's usually hired to be in those bands. So that was cool
Okay.
for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was probably the most busy guy there because he did our thing and then he played with that. And they backed up Elton John and stuff
Wow.
too. It's pretty incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
And Cheryl did all that too. So they were both he and she and Audley were running around the whole show doing all kinds of cool stuff while we were watching TV in the back.
Getting some good catering in.
Yeah, there was catering was okay.
Okay. Well, I was curious, Eltringham, what ethnicity is that?
It's English.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna
Yeah.
ask if you've ever been there, and you probably have, because it'd be
Oh
full
yes.
circle to play some music there.
Yes. I have played over there many times. Been going there since the mid 90s
Mm.
and I love it over there. Yeah. But yeah, my English or my name is like it's English and Scottish and Welsh and yeah.
Got all the mixes over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're kind of doing the dad life too, right? And how many kids do you have?
I got two boys.
Okay.
They're 18 and 20. And actually I texted you my
Yeah.
son, I know you're a fireman, so my son is a advanced EMT and he's studying to be a paramedic now.
Wow. That's pretty neat. How do you get into that, do you think?
Man, I don't, it's crazy. He just sort of had a calling. All of a sudden, he just wanted to do that. And yeah, he really loves it. And we have this good friend of ours. Her name is Carla, and she is a captain at one of the local fire stations. And she's kind of taken Truman under her wing.
Hmm.
She's sort of mentoring him. He studied at community college here. And in Tennessee, they have this thing called Tennessee Promise Scholarship. So you can go to community college for free,
Wow.
which is incredible. And you just do
Yeah.
8 hours of community service each semester, and it pays for your college.
That's pretty awesome.
I know, it's incredible. So yeah, and he just got a job, so he'll start that. It's going to be part time until he's out of school fully. But with Mount Juliet, Tennessee, which is the town we're in, right outside of Nashville, with their fire department.
Oh, awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, he just got the job like two
Wow.
days ago.
Well, I was gonna
Yeah,
say I could send him some cheat notes. I got all my notes from medic school,
you
so
know what? I was just talking to him a minute ago because he moved back in with us for a minute while he's finishing school. And I told him about you, and he said, I want to talk to him because I want
oh,
to talk to him
cool.
about California firefighting. So
Yeah, let me know.
I'll, I'll hook you guys up.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder then probably the most common question you get when it comes to kids is do they play music too, right?
Oh, they do. Yeah. And they're both incredible. They're way better musicians than I am or will ever be already. They're
Are
so
they
good.
drummer or guitar or singing?
Truman started out on drums. He was like really good at drums, just naturally great when he was a little kid, man. He gets to, you like those kids you see on Instagram or whatever who
Yeah.
are just sitting at the kid. I'm like, yeah, he can just sit down and play, and he could just play a mean groove right off the bat. Yeah, as soon as he was about, I forget how old he was, he took lessons from a good friend of mine here for about a year. And then summer came up and he wanted to take a break. So we are like, okay, cool, that's fine, as long as it maybe go back in the fall when school starts up again or whatever. But he didn't want to. He started taking piano lessons. And then at some point, it was like seventh or eighth grade, somebody at his middle school asked him if he wanted to maybe try playing in their guitar group thing. And he did it and he just fell in love with guitar and he's just like a sick guitar
Wow.
player. He's so good. And now he's playing pedal steel.
Wow.
And so he can play a lot. He can play piano, drums, regular guitar, and pedal steel. And then my younger son is also a monster. His name is
Hmm.
Cooper. He plays piano. He's been playing piano since he was 7. He's 18 now. He's a senior at the Nashville School of the Arts,
Hmm.
the local public arts high school. And Truman graduated from there. And Cooper's got some bands that he's in, and they have a band together.
Yeah.
And
I think I saw you post something about that the other day.
yeah, they got their new band, Pay Per View. and they're really good, man. It's pretty
Cool.
awesome. And Truman, Cooper's been sort of starting to get out. He's got like three different bands he's in, and they're already playing gigs all around. He's already played in New York, and he played
Wow.
South by Southwest in Austin, and he's just like he's kicking butt, and he's just an incredible musician. He can play guitar too, and he plays a little bass, and yeah, it's pretty great. And the arts high school is so cool. Like they play music for like 3 hours a day,
Wow.
and they're just playing with all the other kids and recording stuff. They have a little studio there, and they get with all the other kids. Like they have a songwriting program, and so they record all the songwriter kids songs and do like little sessions. They have a dance program there, so the dancers will have a program, and like Cooper will play like a piano thing while they have the dance going on, and it's really
Wow.
incredible. So cool to see. Yeah.
Probably makes you wonder where was that when you were a kid?
Well, they probably had it, and I just didn't know about it.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, it's like I just
Yeah.
wasn't clued in. And I mean, I was playing in bands since I was a little kid. Me and my brothers and my sister
Wow.
had a band. We all started taking lessons, around the same time. And so we were kind of progressing at the same time and started learning songs and stuff together. And just like, I was really lucky in that way
Wow.
to get. So I've been in a band since I was 8 years old. I've
Wow.
never not been in a band my
Yeah.
whole life. Pretty awesome.
Well, I think you're married then, right? So, how did you meet and
Yeah.
how long have you been married?
I have been married 28 years. It'll be 28 years in,
Wow.
is it 28 years already in June? Or will it be 28 in this June? I
I don't
don't
want to
know.
get you in trouble
We,
then.
yeah. So yeah, we met in Boston. We met at a shoe store on Newberry Street. I don't know if you've ever been to Boston,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's like a nice shopping street called Newberry Street. And there was a shoe store called John Fluvog Shoes right on that street. And my wife, she was already working there, and I started working there. The manager of the store was the wife of the guitar player in a band I was in. And so I was just looking for a job, and he said, "Why don't you go in and get a job here?" And so I started working there and met Melissa, and we worked together for like 2 months and then started dating. And it was at the end of a spring semester. So she had to like leave her dorm in like 2 weeks. And so she moved in with me and my roommate Drew. And that was it. We've been together ever since then. That was like
Wow.
1994. Yeah.
How has it
Yeah.
been hard ever, like trying to do family life while being on tour, or how does that kind of work through the years?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It gets hard for sure, especially when you have little ones. And I mean, it's hard enough just, having a regular relationship to
Yeah.
maintain. But then when you have kids on top of that, yeah, it gets it can be rough. But she's great, and our kids are great too. So, we lucked out, and I lucked out. And Melissa, she's a huge music fan and stuff. So like,
Mm.
and she's seen my whole sort of professional career happen, and encouraged me to keep pursuing things when things got really rough.
Mm.
And I would be like, I don't know if this is happening. I don't know what we're doing. What am I doing? What are we doing? And there was a point when I was like, I'm going to go back to school. I was going to go to school for nursing, actually. And we were living in Boston. And I applied to UMass. And I was like, I'm just going to have a regular life, a normal life. And so I was like working at a restaurant and getting ready to go back to school. I got accepted, and then I got offered this tour with this girl, Juliana Hatfield, who was like
Mm.
a sort of indie rock chick. And I turned her down at first and said, "No, thanks, but I'm gonna pursue a normal life." and and then a few couple days later, my wife was like, Why are you not taking this tour? It's stupid. You should take the tour." And I did. And really another launching point, really for everything because I never kind of turned back after that, even at times when I wanted to, but I just kind of kept going from there.
Well, who were
Um,
some of your favorite bands in growing up or major influences? Because I know you're a big Ringo Starr guy, so it's probably the Beatles,
yep,
but any other big names?
yes. Oh yeah. I mean, my first thing was probably Hendrix and like
Mm,
Mitch Mitchell. Like Mitch Mitchell was my guy when I first started like really becoming more interested in drums
mm,
and drumming. So yeah, that and then like, Zeppelin and Bonham and Rush, Neil
mm,
Peart and Alex Van Halen. Keith Moon was
mm,
huge for me. The Who was a huge turning point for me because my brother Matt, the guitar player, like we would play all these songs together, learning like all these really hard songs like Van Halen and stuff. And the Who just had a different sound, Like my brother started going more metal,
mm,
kind of going into like a heavy metal range. Like he loved Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and
mm,
that kind of stuff. That didn't appeal to me as much as like the Who. The Who had more of like the songwriting thing, more melodic kind of
mm.
thing going on. And I think that steered me more towards like the English. Maybe I was always gravitated more towards the English rock stuff, super melodic rock. And then so like after that, like in high school, somehow we got turned on to like Elvis Costello and Joe Jackson and Squeeze and those kinds of like post Beatle bands
Hmm.
that just had great songs. And I love like all those drummers from that sort of era. Like Gilson Lavis from Squeeze was just like such a great like song drummer, you know. And Pete Thomas from the Tractions and Joe Jackson's drummer was I think his name was Dave Houghton. And just like that, I don't know, there was something to it. Terry Williams is another drummer, played with Dave Edmunds,
Mm.
and he played with Dire Straits and he played with in this band called Rock Pile. It was really great. Beatlesy kind of just rock. So that's kind of where it all. But classic rock is what I grew up on. Like classic rock
Okay.
radio is kind of what I grew up on.
Have
Yeah.
you ever played at Royal Albert Hall? I got to see the Who there a few years ago, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, seeing the
Which did you
hometown
see the
boys.
tour with the orchestra when
I
they were
did see
doing
that
that,
one.
or
I saw that one in
saw
San
that too?
Jose, but it was
Yeah.
right before that. I just happened to be there, and
The
they're doing.
Quadrophenia one.
Yeah, no, it was in between. They're doing like a charity acoustic show for like
Oh,
local people, so it's kind of cool that I
cool.
got to jump in on that.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell yes.
and go to. Have you
Yeah,
played that
I've
venue?
seen I have.
Oh,
We played it
cool.
with Cheryl.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's an. I love looking at the ceiling there. It was pretty impressive.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah. So amazing. Yeah, it was a really great show. All those iconic places, when you play there, you're just like, whoa, and it's freaky, playing like Madison Square Garden and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. You're like, whoa. But then if you kind of take a step back, Madison Square Garden, you go like, well, it's kind of just like a dumpy old arena,
Yeah, just a
but it
big
just
room.
has it's just the history of it
Yeah,
that's amazing. But Royal Albert Hall is actually a beautiful building,
yeah.
and it's really cool. I remember that show they were filming it and stuff though, so it was like almost too much pressure or
Mm,
something. Sometimes when it's like a becomes like a overblown sort of deal, it can
yeah.
be it sort of will suck the fun out of it instead of just being in the moment. You're just like worrying about, oh, we have to be great because we're filming it too. But everything is filmed now, so
Mm.
starting to sort of get used to that. Everyone's a cameraman. Everyone's filming.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own
Portrait mode.
channel and they're yeah. So it's like yeah, every little mistake ever is just out there for everyone to see. When there's good things about that too, but it
Yeah.
can be a little bit. It can be a lot when you're just trying to like soak in the fact that you're like, wow, I'm getting to play Royal
Yeah.
Albert Hall, and then it's like, well, we're filming it and we're streaming it and we're doing this and that, and you're like,
Look
oh
at this
god,
monitor over here, and
yeah, it's just a lot of pressure. But still very cool. Yeah.
do you have any like surreal venues that you haven't played yet, or have you kind of touched all of them?
I don't know.
'Cause I imagine you played the Grand Ole
Um,
Opry and everything.
Played the Opry a few times. That was very cool. The Ryman. I've played most of like a lot of the old theaters and stuff,
Mm.
just over the years.
Have you played the
Trying to
Gorge?
think. Yep, played the Gorge
That's on my
a few
bucket list.
times. Yeah, that's really cool. It is like stunningly beautiful there. That's a great vibe too.
Okay. Because the view, do you
Yeah.
see the view, or does everyone looking at the band see the view? Like behind, is it behind the stage, like?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
people can see it more, but why just hanging out there during the day you can see it.
Yeah.
And Red Rocks is
Mm.
awesome. Played Red Rocks a bunch of times. There's probably some old clubs or something that
Oh yeah. No, no
that probably aren't even
CBGBs.
there anymore. I did play
Yeah.
CBGBs.
Oh, you
I
did?
played
Wow.
CBG.
I
Yeah,
didn't think you were old enough to do that.
I'm old. I'm 52.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, back in the 90s, a couple of my old bands, we played it
Wow.
a few times. Played it like maybe 4 or 5 times.
Okay. That must have been, I think of, is it kind of dirty and just like an old building, or is it?
Totally, yeah, it was disgusting. It was foul. And it was awesome in that way. I just remember the owner, he had a dog that would be in there, and the dog would kind of be using the floor as the
Uh,
bathroom. And you're like loading your gear in through like that. I
right when
remember
you
my
say that, your
mom,
dog walks out right when you said that.
I know there she is, yeah. I remember my parents came to a show, maybe my first show at CBGB's. I was so horrified that my mom was using that bathroom there. I was like, Mom, just please, why don't we just go down the street? And at that time, there wasn't much around there. It wasn't like now it's nice around there, yeah, the Bowery, but it was still pretty nasty when we were first getting like when I first played there.
Hmm.
It's still pretty rough around there.
Would you have any memories of your first concert, or maybe one that just sticks out as a kid, maybe that fired you up or got you, pumped up about
I
music?
remember every
Mm.
concert. It took me a while to start going to concerts. I wish I had started going with my older brother. My older brother used to go to concerts like all the time in Philly. We were only like 45 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
Mm.
But my first concert was, we would see like bands or local things and stuff like that. But first big concert was Van Halen,
Mm.
and but it was with Sammy Hagar. I wish I had seen the David Lee Roth
Yeah.
or David Lee Roth one before that. But yeah, I saw as many bands as I could coming through. Saw Rush, and
Nice.
I saw Genesis 3 times. The Genesis shows were really like that was a lot. That was really
Yeah.
incredible. Peter Gabriel and like Yes and all those classic rock bands that would come through. Tried to go see everybody. Yeah,
Did you go to the Electric Factory? I saw a show there once.
Electric Factory. Yep, I've been in Electric Factory. I played the Electric
Mm.
Factory a few times, but we would mostly go to like the Spectrum
Mm.
was where like the Flyers and the Sixers played there,
Mm.
and then like that stadium and JFK Stadium was still there when I
Mm.
was little. I saw the very last concert there that they did at that venue was the Grateful Dead,
Mm.
and they tore it down after that
Bay
and
Area
built
band
some.
right there.
Yeah, oh, yes, love the Dead.
Well, how'd you get into, because you're a Ludwig guy, right? So what makes them
Yep.
special? Have you always been in them from the start, or how'd that kind of come about?
No, I started out on a no name, made in Japan kind of kit, and then I got some CB 700s, and then when I was about 15, I bought a Tama Imperial Star kit from this store called Taylor's Music in Westchester, PA. It was like the first like really beautiful kit, and I was like making payments on it and everything like that. So I was a Tama guy for all my teenage years, and then I didn't switch to Ludwig until I was living in Boston and playing around. I forget why, like smaller kits started becoming in fashion. Like I would see dudes playing just like a regular 4 piece kit. And my kit was like, like a 5 piece or 6 piece or something. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. And then a couple guys started playing like vintagey sort of kits, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I just found this cool old Ludwig kit at a place called Daddy's Junkie Music. I think I bought it, which was right across from Berkeley. It was early 90s. Yeah, just a little four-piece Ludwig, black diamond finish. And that was it. Ever since then, I just kept playing Ludwigs. They always recorded really well,
Mm.
I noticed. I had recorded with my Tamas a few times, and they sounded awesome too. Actually, they were great drums. But there's just something about the old Ludwigs to me that just sounded right to my ears. I don't know, maybe it's from listening to all those classic rock bands and listening to John Bonham and everything, all those recordings, something, the tones of it probably just like hit my brain the right way where it was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's how drums should sound.
Hmm.
And so yeah,
How did you end up with the Wallflowers? How did that kind of come about?
that came about. I was in a band called the Gigolo Ants, Boston band, power pop band. We were
Mm.
touring around a lot. We had a record label deal through Adam Duritz from the Counting Crows.
Berkeley
This was in
guy.
like yep, exactly. This was in the late or mid to late 90s. So we would tour with the Counting Crows all the time, opening for them. It was a way for him to like promote bands on his label and stuff, and bands that he liked, new bands coming up. So there was a string of shows where the Wallflowers were opening, and I loved that second record, Bringing Down a Horse. I was
Mm.
a huge fan. So I was super excited when when this tour came up. It was us and them and the County Crows, and I was like, this is really cool. And I, just got to be friends with them on tour, just hanging out. Especially Greg Richling, the bass player. He and I got to be really good buddies on those little runs we would do. And we just kind of kept in touch over the years. I think I was playing with Ben Queller, this other indie rock artist who was based out of New York. And we played a show in Boston at the Paradise, cool club in Boston, right? And the Wallflowers happened to be doing, I hadn't seen them in a while, and they happened to be doing some radio show in the front. There was like a little front room where they would do little radio shows and stuff. And ran into them and I was like, oh, cool, come on out to the show, so they came to the Ben Queller show, and we're hanging out and talking and stuff. And we got to sort of reconnect in person. And then Greg would kind of just call me to like come hang out at shows when they would come through town. And like I would, if I was out in LA, I'd go hang at Greg's house and stuff, and he would like have me record on things out there. He would produce a couple of different projects, and after a while, Mario, their drummer Mario Cleary, he decided he wanted to move on from the band, and Greg just asked me if I wanted to join, and that was it. Yeah, I was living in New York. We had already because we had lived in LA for like a couple of years, and then we moved to New York for like a couple 2 more years, and so then he called, and we ended up moving, having to move back to LA, and we stayed there for three more years
Mm.
during that time. But I was in the Wallflowers for about 9 years, but that's when I kind of started doing other things too, because they didn't tour a lot. We made this really great record, Rebel Sweetheart, with
Yeah.
Brendan O'Brien in
It's a great
Atlanta.
album.
Thank you. I love it too.
Yeah.
And it was kind of when Rami was sort of falling out of the band a little bit, and there was just like regular band kind of things that were happening, and
Yeah.
it started to kind of fall apart. And Jacob was just like, I want to take a little break. So I was like, oh, great, and we had our kids and everything. I was like, what am I gonna do? So I had to just start taking other tours and stuff like that to
Okay.
keep money coming in for my family. So, but I loved my time in the Wallflowers. It was
Mm.
amazing. It was like a huge sort of stepping stone, and I just loved their music and everything. It was awesome.
Mm.
When I would see them play and go like, that's the kind of band I want to be in. I love
Yeah.
that music, and they were just cool, and the whole vibe. And I love Jacob, and Jacob and I became really good friends. And actually, he did his solo thing. He put out that first solo record while we were still doing Wallflowers, and
Yeah, I love that
Um,
album too.
that's a great record.
Yeah.
He asked me to tour on that with
Mhm.
him. Yeah,
Do you
so
remember that song "I Am a Building"? I feel like
I do.
that'd be a fun one on drums. I used to play along to that one on the drums. So
You did? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
that's a great song. Underrated.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I love that song. I remember recording that one.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Like,
Good snare right in the beginning, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Brendan, man, I learned a lot about just getting good drum sounds in the studio from him. I mean, every producer I've worked with, I learned a little bit from. An engineer, Nick DiDio was the engineer with Brendan. He's just a really sick engineer. You know, those guys for that era of 90s rock too. Like, I just loved the way they produced stuff and the drum sounds that they got. So seeing them do it, and we're just hearing and having them sort of tell me, oh, crank up the snare just a little bit and use just a little bit of a piece of moon gel, just like these little things, little tweaks that have stuck with me
Hmm.
through all that. Yeah, they're good people to learn from for drum stuff.
You mentioned Greg
Yeah.
Richling, and I had him on recently, and
Oh, nice.
yeah, the first time I saw you play was I want to see if you remember this because he doesn't remember the show, but it was in San Francisco, and I don't know if this rings any bells, but it was like on a big like tar mat, and if you look to the left, you could see the Bay Bridge, and they shot off fireworks at the end.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was called K-Fog Kaboom Show, and it was in the evening, and you could look over and see the bridge to the left if you were on stage.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know if you remember that. He didn't remember it, but that's the first
Oh,
time I
okay.
saw you. And I remember
Oh,
you,
cool.
yeah, you were cool. I remember people were saying good show, and you were kind of smoking a cigarette and shaking hands, and you look like the badass rock star. So I've always remembered that.
Yeah. Yeah. I quit smoking, so I'm not as
Okay.
cool anymore, I guess.
Well, that's probably
Smarter.
probably a good thing. Yeah, more drumming in your
Yeah.
future. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's
but
cool. I
yeah.
do not remember that show, but I love playing up there. I
Yeah.
remember playing up there at Slim's.
Oh yeah,
You
Slim.
know the
Yeah,
place Slim's? Yeah.
been
I
there.
loved playing there. I loved playing Slim's.
And you had that weird pole that kind of went up in the middle, like it was kind of
Yeah.
splitting the stage. You never wanted to get stuck
Yeah.
behind that pole.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But that was a good vibe in that place. It was always fun to play there.
Yeah, I actually saw Sammy Hagar there. It was a Tom Morello solo show, and he had
Oh, nice.
Sammy Hagar pop up, Corey Taylor from
Uh-huh.
Slipknot, Steve Earle popped in. It was a surprise show.
Oh,
Um,
weird.
yeah, it was pretty cool. But at what point did you? Because I know you moved to Nashville and then kind of got more into the session game, right? So
Yep.
kind of how did that happen? Because it reminds me of I had Kenny Aronoff on, and I'm curious if you
Hmm.
guys know each other, if you bump into each other here and there. Because you're both
Yeah, I know
pretty
Kenny.
classically trained, right? You went to Berkeley. I know he is pretty classically trained. So
Well, he's really classically like I think he studied actual classical percussion. Like, he's super studied in that way. I went to Berkeley for drum set mostly,
mm,
and I only went to Berkeley for a couple of years, about two and a half, maybe like 5 semesters, and before it got into all the vibes and all the other percussion and stuff. But and Kenny, I do know Kenny, and he's awesome, and he's become a friend of mine, and we were actually both up for that Dixie Chicks gig at the same time. So
wow.
it's like really bizarre for me. I have pictures of me from meeting him as I think I was like 18 or 19. I went
Wow.
to go see the Zildjian Day in New York
Mm,
at the Roxy, and it's just so weird to like to become a peer of someone you admire like that.
yeah.
It's really cool, and he's always been super sweet and like encouraging and just like awesome dude. But yeah, and he's played on massive hits, and I never even thought about, because well, of course you think about becoming a studio musician, but it wasn't something I was like, I'm going to become a studio musician, and I didn't like even try to do that. Like, I never sort of like put effort into becoming a studio guy. I was always in bands and things, so I just thought I was just going to be like, that was going to be my life,
Mm.
playing in bands. And it kind of is, because you're just in a bunch of different bands
Yeah.
from day to day. But yeah, it was awesome moving here. Just a few people I had met. One guy in particular, his name is Mike Webb. He's a keyboard player. I had been playing with this band called the Wreckers, country act. It was Michelle Branch's
Mm.
uh, country thing. She had a country duo. This girl, Jessica Harp. This was after the Chicks tour, and Mike has lived here a really long time and super connected in the scene. Just an amazing musician and awesome person. And he introduced me to a friend of his who's a great engineer, this guy, Mike Rucky, who worked with a really good producer here named Frank Liddell, who also owns a publishing company here called Carnival. And this was like as soon as I moved here, he kind of introduced me to these guys. So I really lucked out because they were making good music, and they just started asking me to play on things for them and with them or whatever. And a couple of those things had success, and Frank's publishing company is still doing well. And publishing demos were a little more. This was in 2007, 2008. It was like more common for publishing demo sessions, like a publishing company. They put together sessions for their writers
Mm.
to demo up their songs. They don't do it as much anymore. There's not as many demo sessions. More so, like they'll just do what they call a work tape or something. They just sing into their phone basically, and
Uh,
there's your demo. Or
yeah.
they do like a little track. So they just have like a track guy, or they do it at home themselves. They like put a little beat in a drum machine and play the song to that. And
Mm.
work it up at home, since there's so many home rigs, and it's easier and costs less than having a full band to track your
Mm.
stuff. The full band ones always they turn out pretty great because there's so many amazing musicians here. Everybody's
Mm.
good. And so, but anyway, yeah, so those guys just started hiring me, and it all kind of just led to other things, just meeting different players and different producers and engineers, and you just form friendships with people, and that's what it's all about. It's all this the friendships and people just wanting to have you be a part of their little scene
Yeah.
and play on their music. you know it's amazing. It's like really still thriving here, and the studios are still doing really
Okay.
well and everything. So it's like Nashville has a really incredible musician scene.
Well, speaking of sessions and playing with different people, you've done some really cool shows. I saw you get to play drums with Joe Walsh and Ringo Starr, and even like Dave Grohl was on the same show. So
Yeah,
that must have been pretty surreal. I'm thinking like as a drummer playing a song and then looking over and seeing one of your heroes because it was a double drum kit set. So it must have been kind of like a dream.
it was completely insane. And yeah, that was for this thing. Joe Walsh was receiving an award in Seattle for the art museum there, and he's like a founder. They call it a founders award. Paul Allen, the big Microsoft founder, he started this museum, and there's a program they do for underprivileged kids to get into the arts and stuff like that. So, and Joe had contributed to their thing, and they give out an award every year to people who contribute. And Joe and Ringo are best friends. They're like brothers. They're married to sisters and stuff. So,
Uh,
Ringo was coming. Paul Allen is also a guitar player, or was. He passed away since
mm,
then, but so he's just a huge music fan. So he would always get these really great people to come and do this thing. But yeah, so Ringo was presenting the award to Joe, and a friend of ours was living in Seattle and producing the shows, like producing the talent and stuff for him, and he would hire the musicians to play as the backing bands. And so he asked Oddly, we were talking about Oddly Freed, to be the band leader for this because he knew that Oddly is a big Joe Walsh fan.
Mm.
So Oddly asked me to be the drummer in the band. And yeah, so we went up there, learned a bunch of songs for these people. It was like Paul Rogers from Free and Bad Company and Todd Rundgren. And
Wow.
yeah, it was just like
All
insane.
star.
Yeah, it was really all star. But yeah, Joe, we got to play with Joe, and he's good buddies with with Dave Grohl
Mm.
and Taylor Hawkins. Taylor was there too with Dave.
Wow.
And I think Joe and Taylor were really close because of the like alcohol recovery
Mm.
scene and stuff like that. So that was really kind of terrifying for me to play in front of those guys, and some of those James Gang songs are really difficult to play
Mm.
too. We learned a couple really hard ones. And so I was pretty nervous, but it was incredible. And yeah, Ringo came the day before for rehearsal. Like he was originally, we didn't know he was going to play, and then we didn't know, we were originally told that he was going to play by himself. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. I was hoping that we would do double drums because most of
Yeah.
the time he does like doing double drums. I was like, well, that's cool. I'll just grab a tambourine and, still I'll get to play tambourine with Ringo. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But then they were on their way to rehearsal and the manager called and was like, no, Ringo wants to play with, the house band. He doesn't want to play the song himself, carry the whole thing or whatever. So I was like, yeah, so excited. And he showed up and he was like really cool. He was just like Ringo and bopping around and being really nice and friendly with everybody. And like, I helped him set up his kid and we were just like talking and he was
Wow.
so sweet, man. It was like really unbelievable. So we had that whole sort of afternoon, evening together. And then the next day, hanging at the show. It was like a sort of a big banquet sort of thing. They had tables and all the
Mm.
people eating and yeah, then he came, he played Rocky Mountain Way with us, and it was just pretty mind blowing. And I actually have some video. I put a little snippet on his birthday. I put it up on Instagram. I wasn't on Instagram for years. I wasn't on Instagram during that time, so I didn't post it anywhere. I had it on my website,
Mm.
which nobody goes to websites really. I don't think anymore. It's
Yeah.
most all about social media stuff. So yeah, just incredible. And then Dave was one of my all-time favorite drummers.
Mm.
Also, I mean, both just Ringo and Dave. It's like two of the most iconic
Yeah.
drummers and drum sound, drum feel, everything. So it's like mind blowing. And he's awesome, dude.
Mm.
And Taylor as well.
Yeah.
Dave came up on and played on Funk 49, and it was just so fun, man. It was like a really special event, really
Yeah.
cool day in the life.
Definitely. Well, some big names there and some fellow rock and roll Hall of Famers. And speaking of Hall of Famers, you got Sheryl Crow, obviously, who you've been with for a while now. And you guys got a new
Yeah.
album coming out. So you're going to be hitting the road and going to some cool places to play some shows.
Yes, we're doing a European tour in June, and then we're doing 17 shows opening for Pink.
Yeah, you got to get your acrobatic skills ready to go.
I'm already, yeah, I've been working on I got the things, the drapes, so I'm like twirling around,
It's going to be a sight right there.
flying all around my house
Yeah.
practicing. No, I'm really excited for that actually. I've never seen her live, and I know she's a great singer, apparently the show is just like pretty epic. So that'll be a really fun
Yeah.
tour, I think. Be
And the
cool to
new
see.
album's called Evolution comes out March 29th.
Evolution. Yep.
And it sounds like you said you might be playing Kimmel in the next few weeks or so. So that's got to be kind of fun.
Yes. That's gonna be really fun. I love playing Kimmel. Yeah, I think the end of February. I don't know. They'll announce it,
Okay.
and I think it's the end of February though. Yeah,
Nice. Okay.
that'll be awesome.
I was curious with Sheryl Crow. She's in such good shape. So do you work out with her? Or do you kind of stay away? She looks like she could put in a good ass kicking workout.
She probably could. You know what? I know she does work out and stuff. But I think she's blessed with some great
Mm.
genetics, and she's just like she takes care of herself and she
Gotcha.
looks good. But I do work out. I work out too. I
Oh no, I
try,
was saying you look good. Yeah.
but I try to take care of myself. I quit smoking at 40. That
Okay.
was 12 years ago, and oh yeah, I exercise a lot. And you got to, man. The older you get,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I will say
I
you
kind of
look the
quit.
same. Like from the early music videos till now, you always kind of look the same. So that's a good
That's good.
yeah,
I
it's
got
a
some
good
grays coming in now. Couple little grays. My hair is doing pretty good. It's holding
yeah.
out. Not too bad. But thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, it's weird getting older, It's like
hmm
um I enjoy getting older and learning and all that and trying to, become a better human
Mm.
all the time and uh
'Cause you seem kind of like a big dick. No, I'm just kidding.
thank you.
Yeah, just
Thank
kidding.
you. But yeah, it's like I'm 52 now, and it's such a physical thing, man. It's like
Mm.
those first couple gigs on a tour. It feels weird.
Yeah,
It's not the same. It's not quite the same.
you're an athlete.
You don't have. Yes, totally,
Yeah.
absolutely. And Cheryl's gig is pretty high energy, so
Mm.
it's like,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
hoping to catch you guys on the road this summer. So hopefully I'll see you on one of those dates.
that would be awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
just let me know, and
Okay.
I'll make it happen.
Cool. Well, what do you have planned the rest of the day? Are you picking up kids, or I guess they're kind of old enough to get
No,
themselves
yeah,
around
they
the.
drive and stuff. Uh, No, he'll be home from school. He's going to get his COVID booster
Oh,
first.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to get my
And
booster. It's been a minute.
I got mine. I got the booster. I got my flu shot, all that stuff.
Nice.
And then Truman's actually home. He's resting. He hurt his knee the other day, so
Oh,
he's like
okay.
resting up. He's about ready to start school back up and stuff and his new job,
Yeah.
apparently, which
Got
is
to have a
awesome.
good knee for that.
You do, I know. And my wife is that we're gonna have some snow on Monday, the first
Nice.
snow of the year. So she went to go get some groceries because everybody loses their mind here. We're probably only going to get about an inch of snow, but everyone's insane. So
Yeah.
they're she's out making sure we have enough before everybody empties the shelves
So it's like
at
rain in
Kroger.
California. No one can drive all of a sudden.
Yeah, I know everybody's just like loses their shit. And then we're gonna go see a movie tonight.
Hmm. Which one are you doing?
It's called All of Us Strangers. It's the new, that guy, that actor Paul Mescal. He's a really amazing actor.
I know if I
But
saw
this
his
is,
face. Yeah.
yeah. Well, this we like to go to there's a smaller movie
Oh,
theater here.
yeah,
It's like a
independent.
non-profit film,
Nice.
center or whatever. The Bell Court. It's really cool, and they show of course, indie films
Cool.
and all kinds of cool stuff. So we like to go there. We've been going every week for a little while now. It's our date night.
Oh, okay, there we go.
So
Well,
yeah.
that sounds fun. Well, cool, Fred. Thanks for doing this. It's kind of full circle for me to have you on after being a fan all these years, and
That's so cool, man.
yeah, I'll see you down the road.
Okay. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right, man.
I'll
See ya.
see you.